Instead of tackling dummies, the Eagles dig their helmets into bodies, and X's and O's on the blackboard become a ballet on the practice field. The daily challenge of one-on-one, pitting the quick, short jab steps of the cornerback against the long, graceful, flowing strides of the receiver, polishes individual skills. The duels of two men blend into the teamwork of 22. And by early September, the quest for a championship begins, and the agony of summer camp ends. The roster is trimmed, and the Philadelphia Eagles are ready to settle in for the season and turn high hopes into victory. A loss to St. Louis tarnished the season's first week, but on Monday night, the Dallas Cowboys met the mean man in the middle that Mike McCormick and owner Leonard Toews acquired to shore up their young defense. The man was Bill Bergey, an all-pro middle linebacker and one of football's fiercest hitters. All night long, number 66 went full bore and draped his green jersey around cowboy backs. Bergey's play infected the whole defense, and the Eagles washed over Dallas in green waves. The Eagles trailed 7-0 until one big play unhinged the unflappable Cowboys. With it goal to go inside the 5, a surefire touchdown was derailed by a Bergey hit and the alert play of cornerback Joe Lavender. Lavender's 96-yard touchdown spiked certain defeat, and safety Randy Logan's interception nailed down certain victory.
Oh man, what's up, y'all? Flash Speaks back for another video. You know how we do, coffee and everything in the morning. Now today, you know, we had to do a little something different, man. We had to pay homage to a great Eagles legend, great NFL legend, matter of fact, number 66, Bill Bergey, who in the 70s, you really talking about two Eagles. All right, you're talking about that was probably overall maybe the worst decade for the Philadelphia Eagles. If you look at the 70s, the 90s is actually kind of close when you talk about the late 90s, but the 70s is probably the worst. For the most part, the 1970s Eagles were a team that was coached by different people. During this particular year, Mike McCormick was the coach. Now, it was interesting because during my research, I found out that Dick LeBeau, one of the greatest defensive coordinators of all time, you know, mostly noted for his great defensive coordinating that he did with the Pittsburgh Steelers, you know, of the early 2000s and so on, was a special teams coach on his Eagles team. And this is 1974. And, of course, the quarterback was a man by the name of Roman Gabriel, who wasn't like the worst quarterback, but he didn't get it done. Didn't have, I guess, the team around him, that sort of thing. The best player on that team in 1974 as you listen to some of what I played. This was NFL films, narrated by John Facenta. Hopefully, I would have played it on the screen, but more than likely, like YouTube would strike me if I did that. So I didn't kind of show the footage. But dude was a beast. Bill Bergey was drafted in 1969 by the Cincinnati Bengals. Eagles owner Leonard Toes. And with the Bengals, he's already an All-Pro. He was Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie Defensive Player of the Year, excuse me, for his first year with the Bengals. And he was picked up in 1974 by the Philadelphia Eagles. And the guy was the best player on the team. It's a wonder. I always assumed, before I did my dug in and did a deep dive research, that Bill Bergey was an NFL Hall of Fame player. When you look at his resume, you're talking about a guy he made 5 Pro Bowls and he made 5 All Pros. Right? For those who don't know, Pro Bowler is like the first level, where you stand out amongst your peers. You get to play in that game that they used to have at the end of the season. You get acknowledged, and it's very, very good thing to have on your resume to make any Pro Bowls at all. And he made 5 of them. But what's most impressive is that he was 5-time All-Pro. When you talk about All-Pro, that's the elite of the elite, meaning you're either the best player at your position, in the opinions of most, or you're the second best player at your position. He made 2-time All-Pro first team, and he was 3-time All-Pro second team. So how do you not make the argument? And then if you listen to some of the footage that John Facenta, when he was speaking, because back in those days, NFL films, they would make a video that's a recap for every single team, not just the championship team, not just the team that won the Super Bowl, but for every single team, they would do a year in review of that particular team. And the way he would speak about Bill Bergey, there were times where John Facenta would flat out say Bill Bergey was the best linebacker in the National Football League. All right, you're talking about 2-time All-Pro first team, 3-time All-Pro second team. So how in the hell is he not in the NFL Hall of Fame? And this is something that we talk about all the time, where Philadelphia Eagle players who are either the best at their position, second best at their position, have these crazy resumes. And I can add to it Eric Allen, who, like Deion Sanders and Rod Woodson, had to write voters in order to ask them what's up with Eric Allen, them taking so long to get him in. You talk about Seth Joyner, another one who was arguably the second or third best linebacker. He just happened to play alongside Lawrence Taylor and guys like Derek Thomas. He had to play, in the same era as those guys. That's the only reason he wouldn't have been considered probably the best linebacker. But he made All Pros. He made Pro Bowls. Seth Joyner actually has a Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos. Why he's not in the Hall of Fame, it blows my mind. When you look at those early teams that we had in 2004, in the early 2000s, you look at all those players, and you mean to tell me Brian Dawkins is the only Hall of Famer from that era? You're talking about an era where the Philadelphia Eagles made it to 5 NFC Championship games and a Super Bowl, and you're telling me nobody, not even the quarterback of that team that was able to do that, is a Hall of Famer? That's just crazy to me. What I will be doing in the coming weeks is formulating my 53-man roster, which is the all-time Eagles team, going back to the inception of the team back in 1930, all the way up until, I won't be probably including players that are currently playing, but it will be players that were former Eagles to make the all-time team. Lane Johnson, guys like that who have at least 10 years in or something like that could qualify. But just generally, it'll be all those times. And I'm letting you know right now, my middle linebacker will be Bill Bergey. There's no doubt about it. Initially, I was thinking about, Byron Evans or definitely Jeremiah Trotter. I thought about. But when you really look at the resume of those guys, Bill Bergey has a resume that I haven't seen any Eagles linebacker have. Talking about 5-time All Pro. All Pro is the best of the best of the best of the best. Jonathan Sender, when he speaks about Bill Bergey, one time he said that this guy will be the next Dick Butkus. This is the way they were looking at him. And for those of you who don't know Dick Butkus is, Dick Butkus is a guy who was considered the prototype standard for the middle linebacker position. Every year after he played, people were searching for Dick Butkus's, and this is a funny ass name, all right? But Bill Bergey was a guy who was considered, probably the next guy, like Dick Butkus. We're gonna play a little bit more of what they were saying about him, man.
He played outstanding quarterback along with Johnny Outlaw. The safeties were young Randy Logan and veteran Bill Bradley. Steve Zabel and John Bunting played outside, and All-Pro Bill Bergey was a rock in the middle. The greatest improvement was shown by the defensive line. At the ends were veterans Joe Turkey Jones, Will Gwynn, and rookie Willie Collars. This trio gave the Eagles their best outside rush in years. Whether it was blindsiding a quarterback or stripping apart a sweep, the ends devastated offenses.
So you already see he was the man in his time, so it's only right that we pay homage to him a little bit, man. Bill Bergey. Just passed last night. He was 79 years old, still living in the area. Like I said, he was before my time, so I never got the chance to watch him play. Though he was a very famous local celebrity who would appear, do autograph signings. Now I most notably know him from calling up the radio station. He would call up the local radio station and oftentimes appear on the morning show with Angelo Cataldi. And he was the man, very witty, very articulate guy, man, really, really smart. And without a doubt, one of, if not one of the greatest Eagles of all time. So it was only right that we give him that respect. All right. Now, what we got going forward? We got Dallas week, y'all. And that was it was great to have Bill Bergey, because that was when Bill Bergey, that's really how he made his bones. That was against the Dallas Cowboys, on the Monday night. And then that's just the way it's done. All right, so what we got here? Philadelphia Eagles versus Dallas Cowboys. Interesting game coming up. Of course, doesn't have the usual luster that it has. Typically, the Eagles and the Cowboys are both teams that have performed well enough to make the playoffs. As you know, because we lost that ridiculous game to the Washington Commanders last week, the Dallas Cowboys were eliminated from the playoff contention, which doesn't bother me at all, of course. That's funny, But that gives this game not that much meaning for them, other than the opportunity to possibly play spoiler, because what could happen is if the Washington Commanders were to win out and we were to lose out, then the Washington Commanders have the chance of winning the division, which is something we absolutely do not want. So the Dallas Cowboys, they may be motivating themselves in the locker room to go out there and play spoiler. Also there's pride on the line. There's guys like Micah Parsons who wants to prove whatever it is he wants to prove. I mean, he's also, I think, in a contract year. So I'm expecting these guys to come out, play hard. Eagles can't go out there sleeping. But Dallas is really, man, had a rough year. they went through so many injuries. I mean, you're talking about guys that they really counting on. Like Micah Parsons had missed a good portion of the season, though he was able to come back and he's playing well right now. You're talking about this young kid, Demarion Overshown, that has a lot of potential. However, like this kid just can't seem to stay healthy. Last year, he was injured either the first week or preseason or something. Overshown was injured last year, and then this year he had a really nasty injury a few games back. And if you remember, Overshown was really good the last time we faced the Cowboys, but I don't know. It looks like he hopefully it's just a situation where he's similar to Nakobe Dean, maybe starting out a little injury prone, and then maybe once his body adjusts to the league, maybe he'll have different fortune. Sometimes that happens with players. I don't know. And then you got one of my favorite players to watch, Diggs, not Stefan, Trayvon Diggs, out. And man, he's had a rough couple of years as well. Pretty much, I think he had an ACL last year, or was it an Achilles, something nasty last year, which had him out for the whole season. Now he comes back, and I think he tore his knee up. It's like this was after he received his contract. Wow, that's very very unfortunate for them. Outside of that, yeah, the loss of Dak Prescott for the season, which right now has their fan base in a little bit of flux. Now, I mean, it's at the end of the day, Dak Prescott will be the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys because of the contract he's under. There's no way in the world Jerry Jones is paying a guy upwards to $60 million, whatever Dak Prescott is getting, and there's a chance that there's a quarterback controversy. That's not happening. So the Cowboys fans who feel like, what Cooper Rush is doing kind of means something, I think that's really fruitless. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Dak Prescott will be the quarterback. The Dallas Cowboys, though, they have a lot of work to do in terms of getting that team straight. Now, I don't believe they have that far to go as many of their content creators will put it. Many of them are, I think, going that route because they're upset with the season. They're upset with how far along the Eagles are compared to them. So, but they speak out of both sides of their mouth. Cowboy fans on one hand will say, well, we actually match up well against the Eagles and we can beat the Eagles. But when they lose, then on the other hand, they say, well, look at the Eagles roster. It's so loaded. They have this and they have that. So which one is it? Is it that your roster is bad? Or is it that your roster really isn't that bad? In my opinion, if the Dallas Cowboys just strengthened up the middle, I'm talking about the D tackle positions. Maybe they can add one more cornerback because I don't know what's going to happen with Diggs. If they can replace about one of those safeties, I think the defense will be fine. Well, depends on what happens with Overshown. Micah Parsons, I think, should be used similar to the way Vic Fangio uses Zach Bond. I would not have Micah Parsons as a full-time pass rusher because, I mean, I think you kind of waste him. Now, sacks are useful, right? But when you have a guy like him, like Micah Parsons, with the athleticism he has, I would use him part-time on the defensive line, but I would use him as a middle linebacker and also right outside linebacker, especially if you're going with two linebackers. If the Cowboys were using Micah Parsons the way that Zach Bond is used with the Eagles, he would probably become that defensive player of the year that they're looking for because he's a guy that could probably get you 10 sacks. And then if you were to add to that, 150 tackles for a season, and then the possible turnovers that he could get from causing fumbles and all of those different types of things, I think that's when you would see the best Micah Parsons. But the Cowboys, I don't know. And it could be him as well, wanting to play defensive end, believing that that's where the money is, and that is where the money is. If I'm the Cowboys, though, I say we'll pay you defensive end money, but we're just going to use you as more of a hybrid, you know, linebacker and a DN. That's just what I would do if I'm fixing the Dallas Cowboys. Then on the offense, I think the Dallas Cowboys need to go and rebolster their skill positions. Go. They need a speedy guy. You know, I will find the best speedy, short-handed, ball-tracking wide receiver that I can find to go along with CeeDee Lamb. Um, I would also, you know, as far as their offensive line, I will grab a few more guys because you're going to have to replace Zach Martin. You're going to have to. I don't know if they're so certain about those defensive tackles that they have either. I don't know. Um, I would grab a couple of those types of guys as well, just in case those guys don't add up. And then you can always use depth at that position. So I don't know. But what do I expect this game? Um, well, on the Eagles side, we're still closely following the injury report. And that, of course, is for our quarterback, Jalen Hurts, um, who is in the concussion protocol right now. We haven't heard much other than that he didn't practice yesterday. Obviously, no one practiced yesterday. It was, Yuletide yesterday. So that's what we're looking for, whether or not Jalen Hurts is going to play. For me, it's very simple. Jalen Hurts plays, Eagles win this game pretty handily. Jalen Hurts doesn't play, then it gets a little difficult. You're talking about a Cowboys team that will be confident against an Eagles team without Jalen Hurts because they had just beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in impressive fashion, really. I mean, Tampa Bay, the score – Tampa Bay the score made it look like Tampa Bay was more than they were. I don't know what happened. I don't know if that was a case of Tampa Bay taking the Dallas Cowboys lightly. I don't know if those teams are more evenly matched than we thought. But the Dallas Cowboys did go out there and beat Tampa Bay. Right now, they have won most of their last number of games. They also beat the Commanders, so they're going to be confident. So if I'm the Eagles and Jalen Hurts can play, you put him out there. I wouldn't play any of these games thinking you can win with Kenny Pickett throwing 2 and 3 yard passes and all of that. I wouldn't play with that. Which I'm a little concerned that the Eagles might play around with that. This thinking that we can win if we go out there and run the ball, play with our defense and all of that. No, those Cowboys beat the Commanders team. They also beat the Tampa Bay team. Okay, they're not sweet at all. Okay, they're not just this horrible team. They're just a team having a bad year. There's a difference. Okay, there's a bad team, and then there's a good team having a bad year. And the Cowboys are closer to a good team having a bad year than they are to just a bad team. And the Eagles brass need to understand that. So that's pretty much what I got on that. Hurts plays, we win. He doesn't. It's up in the air, in my opinion. All right, now going back to the bottom of the barrel, and we're going to talk about the Philadelphia 76ers, man. And hey, the Sixers last night, they go out there, go up to the Boston Garden. They go up there and go ahead and defeat the Boston Celtics in Boston Garden. I can't help but be impressed by that. Now, if the Sixers can take this type of momentum into their next games, because I'm not going to lie, my prediction was we were going to lose to Boston and then go play the Jazz, win that game, then possibly beat the Trailblazers. Then I thought we were going to lose to the Kings and possibly lose to the Warriors, then go beat the Nets. And if you do that, you're slowly inching up in the standings. But, hey, this team showed me that you could beat the Boston Celtics in Boston Garden. Um, shoot, I don't know. Then why can't you beat the Warriors who are struggling? And why can't you beat the Kings, who are a team that I think you match up well against? You know? So I might have to rethink that. And giving the game a quick recap, obviously, Tyrese Maxey was the star of this particular game. Maxey goes out there and gives you 33 points, 12 assists. And I'm really, this is the part of Maxey's game that I'm most impressed with, is the 12 assists. Let me take a more of a micro level look at his game. Because that's very important here. And that showed me how many turnovers. Okay. All right. I'll do that a little bit later. Okay. 12 assists, 4 rebounds. All right. Joel Embiid adds 27 points, 9 rebounds. Now, Caleb Martin, though, was really the surprise guy that made the difference there. And it was on Boston. Boston, for some reason, were leaving him open. They were electing to either double Embiid or sometimes give Maxey or George extra attention, which allowed Caleb Martin to be open a lot. Pretty much all of his shots were open shots. Now, I know in the scouting report before they played the Sixers, they looked at, Caleb Martin was struggling from 3. He was shooting about 30%. So I guess the Boston Celtics felt like, should we lay off of him? Use that man to double Embiid, double George and Maxey, wherever needed. And that was their mistake, because Caleb Martin was hitting all those open shots. That in one sense could be the difference of the game. Personally, I'll say this. I really felt I didn't like the strategy going in, but it worked. Okay. The Boston Celtics are a team that if they could beat you by just shooting 3-pointers and playing defense, that's what they want to do. And that, which is my opinion, stupid strategy that Boston used early on, just shooting too many threes. I mean, these guys shoot on average 53 pointers a game, which I think is atrocious. They came out there with that strategy, shooting threes. That strategy put them in a hole because the Sixers were pretty hot from 3. Maxey was hot. Now, Paul George in the beginning of this game could not hit the side of a barn. Neither could Joel Embiid. They were missing. Well, Embiid was okay. Paul George was horrible in the beginning of the game. The Boston Celtics, however, were off. Tatum was okay in the beginning of the game. Brown was awful in the beginning of the game. All right. And Derek White was also awful. And they probably were overlooking the Sixers, which I can understand. I mean, you really can't when you look at the roster, but when you look at the fact that the Sixers haven't played, the stars haven't played together long enough to develop any significant continuity, I could kind of understand why you would take them lightly, but you can't with the roster. So Boston, I felt like, dug themselves a hole. Now Boston really got serious in that third quarter. Jason Tatum started to go off. He started to take the ball to the rim a lot more, and this is when Jaylen Brown also got more involved. Brown ends up with 23 points. But most of that was in that second half. The one thing that pisses me off to no end is Al Horford's performances against the Sixers, and most of it is due to the Celtics putting him around the 3-point line, and Joel Embiid being either late, making a wrong read, or his unwillingness to run out there and guard Al Horford at the 3-point line pisses me off. And for the most part, that kept the Celtics close, and let them kind of hang around a little bit more than you like. But what I did like overall was the defense that the Sixers played. And I will say this. I do not think we will be a better team than the Boston Celtics this season. But this is what I will say. Since the Joel Embiid era, since he's been here, I think that this roster, man for man, matches up best against the Boston Celtics more than any other roster we've had. As you know, we call it a rivalry, but in reality, it's not a rivalry. The Boston Celtics pretty much dominate the Sixers. But I think this particular roster, because we are very wing heavy, I think that this roster matches up best. Picking up Paul George was great. Whether or not he's the same PG from back in the day and all of that, he's still a top defensive playing wing player who plays excellent defense against Brown yesterday and Tatum. And that's what you need. You need tall wing players who are athletic. So Kelly Oubre, though he only scored 4 points, he was so instrumental in that win. His defense on Jason Tatum, though Tatum, when you look at it, scores 32 points. And that's really because he's shooting a bunch of damn threes. His defense on Jason Tatum was excellent from the standpoint that Tatum didn't get anything easy for the most part. And a lot of Tatum's points were bullshit as well. These officials, man, they want offense so bad that they will allow, the offensive player to do whatever he wants. The offensive player is no rules. They don't apply the rule book. Jason Tatum pushes off so much, man, because he's not like the most athletic guy. Tatum was pushing off on Oubre so much, bro. Like, if they were just applying the rule book, I think he would have got ejected. I mean, he would have got fouled out. I mean, it was ridiculous. But despite that, Oubre hung tough. He didn't complain. He made Jason Tatum work for most of his points. That 32 was not an easy 32, and that's the most you can ask against a superstar like Tatum. So Kelly Oubre, man, unsung hero. I see the 4 points, but he played excellent to me. Another hero is the Frenchman that we got. I don't know his first name, but Yabusele. Yabusele, the guy who dunked on LeBron in the Olympics, I can't say enough about this guy. He's becoming one of my favorite Sixers. As y'all know, if you follow the channel, I love the garbage guys. I love the hustle guys. And he can also add, a shot. He can hit from outside. Excellent pickup by Daryl Morey. Good coaching by Nick Nurse to give the guy minutes, 21 minutes. Earlier in the season, I didn't quite understand why he was using him so much over, say, Andre Drummond, but I get it now. He's the only true stretch four we have, and you do need a stretch four when you're playing against Boston, because Boston likes to run Porzingis and they like to run Al Horford and use Al Horford. And they use all them guys as stretch guys. So to have a guy like Yabusele, who's playing more of a Bobby Portis type of role for this particular team. Not saying he's good as Bobby Portis, but he plays a similar role to Bobby Portis. He can come in, he can hit the threes, he can give you some tough defense. He's going to give you tough play. I like the guy. So now what the Sixers got to do, man, we're at 11-17 right now. Take it slowly. Take it slowly, man. One game at a time. Just win one. And I see a lot of winnable games coming up right now. Next we got I just said it a second ago. Sixers have the why is this not showing me the damn roster? We got the Utah Jazz coming up. That's winnable, man. That's winnable. Then you got the Trailblazers coming up. That's winnable. I think we're on the road for all of this, though, but that stuff is winnable, man. You got the Kings. That's up in the air. Kings in Sacramento are hard. Kings are a team that like to run. They like to play that run and gun style. That's going to be tough. Then you got the Warriors right after that. The Warriors right now, we're going through a little bit of a struggle. And if you look at it man for man, I think we match it well against the Warriors. So it's about this team staying healthy. One game at a time, focus, man. Continue to pass that ball, spread the ball around. The ball movement is something that has been improving. I hated the way it looked early in the year. I can't express how much I hated the way it looked over earlier in the year. All right, but when you look at yesterday, the overall of the game, I like the way the Sixers had 28 assists in the game. 28, that's a damn good number, man. You keep that up, you'll be one of the best assist creating teams in the league, and you out assist Boston by 4. Boston had 24 assists. That's something that you want to look at. The Sixers had 10 steals, so they were able to turn Boston over. And that's one thing you can do with Tatum and Brown. You can turn them over because sometimes they get a little dribble heavy. They're not elite ball handlers. They're good. They're not elite ball handlers. So I like the aggressive nature of the way we played. You go with Oubre and George. I like the way they match up against Tatum and Brown. 42 points in the paint. Excellent. Though we allowed 42 by Boston as well. You wanna see that improve a little bit. But I know Boston is going to score a lot in the paint because the nature of the way they play is they're going to draw Joel Embiid out. Joel Embiid's drawn out a lot. So that's why Boston has 42 points in the paint. We were defeated on offensive rebounds. We only have 5 offensive rebounds to Boston's 13. You want to see that improve for sure. But again, a lot of that happens because of the way Boston plays. They're going to draw your big man out. If your big man wants to camp out in, rebound and cherry pick rebounds, Boston is going to kill you with the 3-pointer because both Porzingis and Al Horford, you have to respect them. So I understand that in this particular game. 5 blocks, that's good. Sixers only had 6 turnovers, man. That's the key to why you won this game. 6 turnovers is excellent. And we were able to turn Boston over 13 times. If we were to point to one stat, I think you got to look at that one. That's excellent. 17 to 18 personal fouls. So that's pretty equal. We shot 46% from the field. Not bad. 42% from 3. That's excellent. Made all of our free throws. Boston missed 5 free throws. Okay. And those are the 2 things you got to look at. You got to look at we weren't turning the ball over, and then the Sixers were making their free throws. Can't beat that. Now we were out rebounded 51-39, which you want to see. You want to see that improve, right? But you can make up for that if you have a better field goal percentage and you don't turn the ball over. So all in all, man, without a doubt, this was the best game the Sixers played, not because of the opponent, but really if you look at the way they played, if you look at the assist to turnover ratio, if you look at the fact that they weren't that they shot well, and they shared the ball. I have nothing but good things to say about the way the Sixers played yesterday, and what you want to hope to see is that they can keep that up, because it's very important, very important. So, yeah, man, that's pretty much what I got today. I see not too many people came out today for whatever reason. I don't know if y'all turned off by me talking about Bill Bergey, but that's what we're going to do around here, man. You have an Eagles legend. There's something significant happens, we're going to mention them. So with that, we'll close out today. Not a problem. And see you all tomorrow. Peace out.